Hi everybody, it's Mad Max. In my travels with Dirty Dave, I've had a few opportunities to try out my hand at photography. Tag along in this video I'm calling Mad Max's Photo Journal as we explore some of the more interesting photos from the last year. So that being said, let's get started. Alright, these first several photos are from a part of the Hakkendakwa Creek that Dave and I call the Honey Hole. There's the ruins of a man-made dam that punctuate this nice long deep trench and a wide, almost slackwater-like wading pool. I had invited a couple friends to come with us, with Dave and I acting in a sort of guide capacity, and that's who you're going to see in some of these other photos. Dave and I know the stretch of the creek like the back of our hands. We could probably navigate it blindfolded at this point. I still get a kick out of that one picture where Dave is obscured by the bushes. He looks like a Sasquatch, just kind of lurking, getting ready to hop out, and maul these other two. Moving on, here's one of Dave with a trout he caught, and I managed to sneak down there get a couple photos of the release. Here I'm using a ProMaster CPL filter to try and cut some of the glare. Here's another one I got of the most common breed of duck in Pennsylvania, the mallard. I don't know why, but I thought it was kind of unusual to see three drakes all by themselves. Just to mix things up, some tadpoles. These guys were hiding out right at the edge of the honey hole, and the next two I took upstream at El Dorado. And this is just a little dead fish that they were going to town on and just having a good old time chowing down. So this is from the same outing as the honey hole. This particular stretch of the creek Dave and I call Razor Rock. The story behind that is a few years ago when we first started fishing together, we found an old Razor scooter sitting on a rock pile. And ever since then, Razor Rock it is. So that old abandoned railroad trestle is a good spot. On the upstream side of it, there's a really nice, wide, deep hole that usually hides some decent fish in it. And on the other side are some rapids that go into another kind of wide, slack pool. And actually in the rapids there is where I caught my first brown trout. This one is the best of probably about 20 photos I took. So we're getting close to dusk, and I was just dabbling with aperture and a couple other parameters to try and get the best photo. And this one is it. This is quite the little local landmark. This house was built in 1881 by General Elijah Marshall, and actually it went up for sale last year. The story here is Dave and I actually climbed to the top of a mountain, which is going to be for another video that we have to publish. And this is one of the photos I managed to take while I was up there. I'm actually on the other side of the Lehigh River from where that house is. Here we have a great blue heron. I spent a good part of summer last year watching this guy and snapping photos of him. Probably took a couple hundred, and these are just a few of the best. And I got some interesting shots, like there he's scratching his head, he's spreading his wings. This was a particularly hot day in June, and I think he agrees with me there. And I gotta say, when they have their wings open like that, they're kind of creepy. Last but not least, we have Ranger Lake on New Year's Eve of 22. This was an interesting day. Half the lake was frozen over, and the whole thing was just had fog that had settled in, and it gave it this really kind of creepy atmospheric vibe, you know, kind of the Mist, Silent Hill type feel, and I just thought it was so cool. Bonus stage. I have no idea what Dave is trying to accomplish here, but it still amuses me to watch. I mean, look, the minnows are smaller than the holes in the net. So, once we got the GoPros and we realized that they're waterproof to something like 30 feet, what's the first thing we do? We be complete children and dunk them underwater. uh, anyway, we got some pretty good underwater shots from this past season, and we plan to film a lot more in the coming one. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this up. To conclude, photography is a challenging, albeit satisfying hobby. I find the struggle I go through and the umpteen number of photos I ultimately throw away is well worth the payoff for getting that one little jewel. I'm pretty stoked about getting to hone my skills in the coming year. This has been Mad Max's Photo Journal, and until next time, stay mad. Hey! Beat it! You'll get your own videos soon enough.